Good morning, venture capital. This is Metagame, and today's episode is about the silent rebellion happening in workplaces across the globe, where almost half of all employees are pushing back against the AI agents their companies are rushing to deploy. 46% of employees are actively resisting AI agents. 45% are using them inconsistently, and only 39% have actually adopted them. Add those numbers up, and you get something that doesn't compute, because it's not supposed to. This isn't an adoption curve. This is organizational chaos wearing a digital transformation costume, and somewhere right now, a portfolio company is burning through its AI budget while its workforce fragments into 3 warring tribes. Here's what nobody wants to say out loud. The $200 billion that flooded into AI last year was built on a promise. Deploy the technology, productivity follows, returns materialize. Simple, right? Except KPMG just dropped Q4 data that disrupts that narrative. The promise assumed employees would actually use what you built. They're not. Or worse, they're using it badly, inconsistently, and in ways that create more risk than value. Let me paint the picture. You've got 30% of the workforce Gensler calls them power users, racing ahead, squeezing every drop of productivity out of AI tools. Good for them. Then you've got 46% actively resistant. Not confused, not untrained, resistant, and sandwiched between them. A massive middle cohort experimenting without guardrails, using AI when they feel like it, ignoring it when they don't. That's your 45% inconsistent use figure, and it jumped from 19% just 2 quarters ago. Think about what that means for your portfolio companies. Half the workforce is running ungoverned AI experiments on company time. No protocols, no audit trails, no way to measure what's working. Your CISO is having nightmares. Your CFO is staring at an AI budget with no measurable ROI. And your CEO is telling the board that digital transformation is on track. But here's where it gets really interesting. The leadership trust barrier, employees' confidence that leadership can deploy AI responsibly quintupled, from 5% to 25% in 6 months. 1 in 4 employees now actively doubts their leadership's ability to handle AI deployment. And honestly, they might be right. The Cloud Security Alliance dropped a stat that should concern every enterprise executive. 68% of organizations cannot distinguish AI agent actions from human activity. Let that sink in. 2/3 of companies have no idea whether a decision was made by a person or a machine. When something goes wrong, and something always goes wrong, who gets blamed? The employee who is supposedly supervising the agent that made an autonomous decision, leadership that deployed a system they can't monitor. This isn't a technology problem. You can buy better AI. You can buy smarter models. What you can't buy off the shelf is the organizational infrastructure to actually use them, and that's the gap where value either gets created or destroyed. Now here's the collision that's coming. Sharem reports 92% of KHROs expect deeper AI integration in 2026. 92%. Meanwhile, 46% of employees are resistant and leadership trust is declining. That's not alignment. That's an executive suite accelerating into a culture wall at full speed. Gartner's customer service research explains why resistance isn't just fear of replacement. AI implementation isn't automating jobs away. It's making them more complex. Employees aren't worried about being fired. They're worried about being asked to manage, monitor, and clean up after AI systems that fail in unpredictable ways. The job isn't disappearing, it's expanding, and nobody asked if employees wanted the expanded version. Building a new product? Temez Labs takes you from napkin sketch to the App Store. Trusted by Fortune 500s for quality, security, and speed. Book your free strategy session at temez.ai. So what does this mean for capital allocation? The $200 billion AI boom funded capabilities. The next wave funds deployment infrastructure. Governance is the new frontier. And if that sounds boring compared to frontier models and billion-dollar training runs, consider this. Workday just filed SEC documents describing role-based AI agents and an agent system of record. They're treating AI governance as a platform-level capability, not a feature. When the enterprise HR incumbents start building systems of record for AI agent activity, you know the market has priced in the governance gap. The opportunity bifurcation is clear. Companies building frontier models will keep attracting mega rounds X.AI at $5.3 billion, Databricks at $4.1 billion. The infrastructure plays aren't going anywhere. but a secondary wave of value creation is emerging around AI operations. Observability, attribution, trust architecture. The companies that can tell you definitively whether an AI agent or a human made a decision, that can enforce usage policies architecturally, that can compress the time from we bought AI tools to our workforce, uses them productively. Those companies are going to capture disproportionate value in the next 18 months. Here's the strategic question VCs should be asking in every diligence meeting. Does this company have the governance infrastructure to ensure employees will actually use its AI? Because when 46% resistance and 45% inconsistent use are the baseline, technically superior AI with weak deployment models loses to good enough AI with strong change management architecture every single time. The enterprise data backs this up. KPMG showed 26% of enterprises have deployed agents, average AI budget of $124 million, 67% calling AI spending recession-proof. The conviction is there. The capital is there. What's missing is the organizational capacity to convert that spending into productivity. For B2B companies, the questions get specific. How are you measuring inconsistent use? Do you have telemetry that distinguishes power users from sporadic users from active resistors? Can you prove to a CIAD that your AI features are being used in compliance with enterprise policies? When 68% of organizations can't identify AI versus human activity, any product that can provide clear attribution and audit trails has a structural advantage in enterprise sales cycles. That's not a nice to have. That's a deal closer. For HR tech and workforce platforms, the opportunity is even bigger. When 92% of CHROs plan deeper AI integration while employee trust in leadership's deployment is collapsing, there's massive arbitrage for platforms that bridge that gap. The winners will treat AI governance as a first-class system of record. The losers will keep bolting on features and wondering why adoption stalls. And for vertical AI applications, you need to pick a side. Are you building for the 30% power users or the 46% resistors? The Gensler data shows clear bifurcation. There is no average user anymore. Companies that design for power users and treat everyone else as a separate adoption motion will out-execute companies trying to serve both simultaneously. The risks of ignoring this are significant. Portfolio companies that rush AI deployments to satisfy board expectations, and 91% of customer service leaders are under urgent pressure to implement AI this year, will burn 12 to 18 months and millions in deployment costs before discovering their investments aren't generating returns. The trust barrier creates retention risks that won't show up in immediate metrics. When employees don't trust leadership's AI deployment, they disengage, quietly resist, or leave. And the best talent, those 30% power users, have the most options and the least tolerance for organizations that can't deploy AI effectively.
Oh, hey, friend. Do you like what you're hearing? Now you can have a ridiculously amazing podcast, too. Check out holler.studio to get yourself one today.
So let's close the loop. 46% resistance, 45% inconsistent use, 39% adoption. Those numbers don't add up because they're not supposed to. They're three different measurements of the same organizational dysfunction. The workforce isn't adopting AI, it's fragmenting over it. The $200 billion AI funding boom assumed deployment would follow capability. It hasn't. The companies that solve for governance, attribution, and trust architecture will capture the upside. The rest will fund expensive experiments in organizational chaos while competitors surge ahead. The question isn't whether AI will transform enterprise productivity. It will. The question is whether your portfolio companies have the cultural and operational infrastructure to actually extract that value, or whether you're funding shelfware with a marketing budget. The numbers are in. The gap is real. And the window for building the infrastructure layer that makes AI actually deployable? It's open right now, but not for long. That's our venture capital podcast for today. If you learned something new, tap 5 stars and follow our show. Thank you for listening to Metagame.
Grep News. Thomas.